You ever feel like your own mind is, I don't know, working against you? Like you're constantly fighting off distractions, negativity, and just all this noise? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to explore some really powerful ideas from the book, How to Hack Back Your Mind, and figure out how we can actually fight back and, reclaim control.
All right, so let's jump right in with a pretty fascinating take on negativity from the author Najjar. He argues that it's not some trait we're just born with. Nope. He says it's more like an accumulation, a buildup of damaging thoughts and emotions over time. Things like fear, worry, stress. And here's the kicker. He makes this really powerful point that freeing ourselves from these mental chains is one of the single most valuable investments we can ever make. So, reclaiming your mind, what does that actually look like? Let's get into it, because, well, the stakes are probably higher than you think.
I mean, just think about it for a second. When we get stuck in those negative thought loops, we lose out on so much. Our most valuable assets, they really take a hit. We're talking about our time, our inspiration, our ability to perform at our best, and even our chances of achieving the goals we set for ourselves. Now, to really understand how to hack our minds back, we first need to get a grip on how they get programmed to begin with. Yeah, you can think of it like understanding the software that's running in the background of a computer.
See, our subconscious mind, it's kind of like a giant sponge. It just soaks up everything from the world around us. We're talking about social conditioning, past traumas, our environment, and even just our day-to-day thinking patterns. And if we're not careful, if we're not paying attention, our thoughts just slip into autopilot. And that can lead us straight down a path of self-doubt and negativity.
It's a pretty wild thought, right? But the author says most of us are running on this pre-programmed mindset without even realizing it. And this autopilot mode, it affects everything. How we look at problems, the choices we make, all of it. So this brings up a really crucial question we all have to ask ourselves. Am I truly thinking for myself, or am I just following these old ingrained habits? But here's the good news. This is the really empowering part. The moment we start to recognize these subconscious patterns for what they are, that's when we gain the ability to disrupt them. We can actually break free from those limiting beliefs that have been holding us back for so long. All right, so recognizing the patterns, that's step one. But what's step two? How do we actually go about changing them? Well, the book lays out some really practical strategies for mental reprogramming. And here they are, 5 key strategies to do exactly that. First up, you've got affirmations and positive reinforcement. This is all about using positive language to literally start rewiring your subconscious. Then there's visualization and mental rehearsal, which is basically like practicing for success in your own mind. Number 3 is mindfulness and presence. This one helps us stay grounded and focused in the here and now. Then we have conscious decision-making, which is really about taking that split-second pause before you react. And finally, empowerment through self-discovery. This is where you dig deep to uncover the roots of those limiting beliefs. All of these are just incredibly powerful tools for taking back the controls. Okay, let's tackle a big one. A huge hurdle for so many of us. Overthinking. It can totally feel like a prison, right? But the good news is there is a way to break out. I mean, we've all been there, stuck in our own heads, just analyzing every single little thing. It's like you're trapped in this endless loop of what-ifs and self-doubt. And let's be honest, it's one of the most common obstacles to mental freedom. It just creates stagnation and leads to self-sabotage. So the million-dollar question, how do we break free from that cycle? Well, there are some really practical ways. First, you've got to set mental boundaries. When you feel yourself starting to spiral, you make a conscious choice to shift your focus. Next, practice detachment. This is about learning to observe your thoughts without getting all emotionally tangled up in them. And this last one is huge. Replace fear with action. Seriously, taking even one tiny step forward is infinitely better than being paralyzed by what-ifs. Really, it all comes down to changing our relationship with our own thoughts. And when we manage to do that, we can actually transform overthinking from something that keeps us stuck into a really productive form of reflection, something that allows for growth instead of stagnation. Now, this next piece of the puzzle is fascinating. It's all about the dynamic between our conscious and unconscious mind. Understanding how these two work together, well, that's key. I love this analogy. Think of your mind like an iceberg. The conscious mind, the part we're aware of, that's just the small tip you see sticking out of the water. But the subconscious, that's the enormous, powerful mass hidden beneath the surface, and it governs so much of our automatic behavior. So when we live unconsciously, we're basically prisoners of our own habitual thinking. But, and this is the important part, our conscious mind holds the authority. It has the power to reshape the subconscious, to make deliberate choices, and to really take ownership of our mental well-being. But let's be real for a minute. This whole process, it's not a quick fix. It's going to require patience, self-discipline, and a genuine willingness to challenge some of those really deeply ingrained beliefs you might have. It's tough work, for sure.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, it's more than just a collection of cool ideas. It's basically a blueprint for freedom.
You know, at the end of the day, this is so much more than a self-help book. It's really a transformative guide for reclaiming control over how we think and how we experience our lives. And maybe the most empowering message of all is that this kind of mental freedom isn't some exclusive thing. It's a reality that's totally attainable for anyone who's willing to put in the work.
So yeah, the journey to mastering your own mind, it's not always going to be easy, but it is so worth it. It's about finally breaking free from those subconscious chains and stepping into a new reality, a life that you define through intentional thought, through deliberate action, and through genuine empowerment.